Your bladder isn't waking you up at 3 a.m. I know that sounds wrong, but after 20 years as a urologist, I've seen thousands of patients who spent years fixing the wrong problem. Because in most cases, the brain wakes first. The bladder is just what you notice afterward. And once you understand what's actually happening inside your body at 3 a.m., everything changes. I want to start by saying something I mean completely. I know how tired you are. Not just sleepy. I mean that deep, grinding exhaustion that comes from years of broken nights. Going to bed hopeful, waking up 2 hours later, shuffling down the hallway in the dark, getting back into bed, staring at the ceiling, finally drifting off, right as the alarm goes off. I hear this story every week in my office. Dr. Adams, I haven't slept a full night in years. And most of these patients have already tried everything. No water after 5 p.m., bladder medication that didn't feel right, going to the bathroom 3 times before bed like a ritual. And still, 3 a.m., still the bathroom, still the ceiling. Night after night, same hour, same frustration. Tell me in the comments, how many times are you waking up each night? Because what you're about to hear may finally explain why nothing has worked.
If that's you, I want you to hear this clearly. You are not broken. There is a specific reason this keeps happening, and it is not the reason you think.
Here is the idea that changes everything for my patients. You are not waking up because your bladder is full. In most cases of nighttime urination in adults over 60, the sequence is the exact reverse of what people assume. You don't wake up because you have to go. You notice you have to go because you're already awake. Let that land for a moment. Your bladder didn't trigger anything. The brain was already surfacing, already scanning the body, and the bladder is simply the first thing your half-conscious mind lands on. Most people spend years, sometimes decades, managing the bladder, when the bladder was never really the problem. So why is the brain waking up in the first place? That's the real question, and this is where it gets genuinely interesting. As we get older, completely normally, sleep becomes lighter. The deep, restorative stages get shorter.
The brain starts hovering closer to the surface, and in that lighter sleep, even a small shift in body chemistry is enough to pull you all the way up. The brain surfaces, scans, finds the bladder, and suddenly you have to go. But here's what nobody explains. If we stop the brain from surfacing, the bladder stops being a problem. So what is pulling your brain up at 3 a.m.? There are 3 specific triggers, and I'd be willing to bet at least one of them is happening to you tonight.
Trigger number 1. This one surprises almost everyone. The cortisol spike. Cortisol follows a precise daily rhythm. In healthy deep sleep, it should be at absolute rock bottom around 2 or 3 in the morning. That's what keeps the brain anchored in deep sleep. Here's the problem. If your nervous system was activated during the evening and never fully came down, cortisol stays elevated. And then, around 3 a.m., when the body begins its natural preparation to wake up, that surge hits earlier than it should, and harder. And the brain surfaces. Here's what most people miss, and this is where so many people accidentally sabotage their own sleep. It doesn't have to be big stress. It's not always worry or anxiety. Sometimes it's the news at 9 p.m., a difficult email before bed, a conversation that left a small knot you never untied. All of that stays in the nervous system, long after the moment is gone. It doesn't respect your bedtime.
Does that sound familiar? Drop a comment if it does. Trigger number 2, nocturnal blood sugar instability. And this next one surprises people the most because most assume it only affects diabetics. It doesn't. When blood sugar dips too low during the night, the body treats it as a quiet emergency, A small burst of adrenaline and cortisol is released to correct it, and that hormonal surge, even a subtle one, pushes the brain toward wakefulness. Here's what's interesting. Many patients who wake at 3 a.m. describe something beyond just needing the bathroom. A faint racing of the heart, feeling slightly wired, a low hum of anxiety they can't explain. That's not anxiety. That's adrenaline. And once adrenaline is circulating, falling back to sleep feels almost impossible. We'll come back to that. Who's most at risk? Anyone who eats dinner early, anyone who had a light meal, and, this one matters, anyone who had even one glass of wine. Because alcohol accelerates the blood sugar drop in the second half of the night. That glass that helped you fall asleep, it may be the reason you're awake at 3. Most people never connect those two things. Trigger number 3, and this is the one most people never suspect. Evening nervous system overstimulation. We live in a world almost perfectly designed to ruin deep sleep. Screens, bright lights, news, social media, crime dramas, a notification at 9:30 p.m. All of it activates the sympathetic nervous system, your brain's alert, survival-ready state. And once it's activated, it needs real time to come down. Here's what most people over 60 don't realize. As we age, that transition from activated to calm becomes slower. The wind down that took 30 minutes at 40 may take 90 minutes now. That's not weakness, that's biology. So if you're watching the evening news until 10 p.m. and in bed by 10:30, your nervous system is still partially activated when your eyes close. And a partially activated nervous system doesn't sink into deep sleep. It hovers right near the surface. And there it is, hovering. When 3 a.m. arrives, cortisol begins its rise, and the bladder has a small amount of urine, and the brain says, yes, that. Let's wake up. You don't wake up because of the bladder. The bladder is just where an already awake brain lands.
Now, caffeine. Because there's something about it that almost nobody fully understands, even people who think they're being careful. Most people stop coffee at 2 or 3 p.m. and assume they're fine. Here's what's actually happening. Caffeine has a half-life of 5 to 7 hours. That afternoon cup may still be affecting your brain while you're standing in the bathroom at 3 a.m. Not gone, still there. And it works by blocking adenosine, your brain's natural sleep pressure signal. Adenosine builds up all day. Caffeine masks it. But it keeps accumulating underneath. When the caffeine finally clears, all of that suppressed sleepiness floods in at once. And instead of smooth, deep sleep, the aging brain often gets an unstable crash. The 3 p.m. coffee that felt harmless at 45 may be a real problem at 65. Be honest, are you still drinking coffee after lunch? Tell me in the comments. Try this. Hard cutoff at noon for 2 weeks.
Coffee, tea, green tea, soda, dark chocolate after dinner, all of it, 2 weeks. See what happens at 3 a.m.
Now, something that may frustrate you even more than the waking itself. Lying awake afterward. You've used the bathroom, you're back in bed, exhausted, and yet the mind is running. The body feels strangely alert. An hour passes, then another, and just as sleep finally starts to come, the alarm goes off. Why is that? 3 reasons, and they all connect. First, the adrenaline. It raises your heart rate, sharpens your perception, and it cannot simply be switched off. It takes 30 to 45 minutes to clear. During that time, sleep is genuinely difficult. Not because you're doing anything wrong, because of chemistry. Second, the mental trap. You lie back down and the brain immediately starts calculating. If I fall asleep right now, I'll get 2 hours and 40 minutes. And the harder you try to force it, the more awake you become. Effort is the enemy of sleep. Third, and this one most people never consider, the light.
Turning on the overhead bathroom light for even 60 seconds significantly suppresses melatonin. Your body's sleep signal weakens, and the path back to sleep gets harder. Use a dim red or amber nightlight instead. Red spectrum light has the least effect on melatonin, and when you return to bed, don't check the clock. The moment you see 3:17 a.m., your brain starts calculating. Sleep retreats further away. Small changes, but not small in their effect.
Let me tell you about two patients. Patterns are easier to recognize in others first. Robert, 68, retired engineer, healthy, waking 2 to 3 times a night for 4 years. He'd tried bladder medication, didn't like it, came to me exhausted and out of options. We talked for a while, and what I noticed, Robert watched cable news every night from 8 to 10 p.m., fell asleep on the couch, moved to bed at 10:30. Then, without fail, 2:30 or 3 a.m., awake, bathroom. I asked him to try one thing, no news after 7 p.m., 2 weeks. 3 weeks later, he called me. He said, "I don't know if this is placebo, but I slept until 5 a.m. 3 nights in a row." That's not placebo. That's a nervous system that finally got the wind-down time it needed. Then Margaret, 72, limiting fluids after 5 p.m. for years, doctor's orders, still waking twice a night. 1 glass of wine most evenings.
Just one, but for Margaret, that glass, combined with an early dinner, was creating a blood sugar dip right around 3 a.m. Her body was waking her up to correct it. She'd been calling it a bladder problem for years. Small protein snack before bed, less wine, 3 weeks later, waking once, sometimes not at all. You don't wake up because of the bladder. You notice the bladder because you're already awake. I keep coming back to that because I want it to stay with you.
Here's what matters most. What you can do starting tonight. Step 1. Caffeine cutoff at noon, earlier than you expect. 2 weeks. Coffee, tea, soda, green tea, dark chocolate at night, all before noon. Your 3 a.m. brain will notice. Step 2. A 90-minute wind down before bed. Count back 90 minutes from when you want to sleep. Screens off, news off, stimulation stops. Gentle stretching, easy reading, soft music, a warm bath, anything that tells your nervous system the day is truly over. And about that bath, when you step out of warm water, your body temperature drops. That drop signals the brain, time to sleep. It genuinely accelerates deep sleep onset. Step 3. A small protein snack 60 minutes before bed. A few almonds, cottage cheese, a spoonful of nut butter. Not a meal, just a small anchor for your blood sugar through the night. Step 4. A dim red nightlight in the bathroom.
It costs almost nothing. It protects the melatonin that is standing between you and better sleep. Step 5. Turn the clock away. Phone face down. Don't check the time when you wake. Don't give your brain the numbers to calculate with. Step 6. Diaphragmatic breathing when you return to bed. Inhale through your nose for 4 counts. Hold for 4. Exhale slowly for 6 to 8, 5 or 6 rounds. This directly activates your parasympathetic nervous system, your body's calm and rest state, and begins to clear the adrenaline. Give it 10 minutes. Let the chemistry shift. Step 7. Drink enough water during the day. Over-restricting fluids creates concentrated, irritating urine that makes the bladder more reactive at night. Drink normally. Just taper naturally after 6 p.m. Step 8. Honest look at evening alcohol. Alcohol is a diuretic, and it suppresses deep sleep in the second half of the night, exactly when you're most vulnerable. Try 1 alcohol-free week. Just observe.
One more thing, and please take this seriously. If you're waking more than twice a night, every night, for more than a few months, get a medical evaluation. In men, the prostate. In women, pelvic floor changes. In both, heart conditions that cause fluid to pool in the legs during the day and redistribute at night, and sleep apnea, dramatically underdiagnosed in older adults and a direct cause of nighttime urination. You don't have to snore loudly to have it. You don't have to be overweight. Sleep apnea silently fragments sleep architecture and is far more common than most people realize. Get checked and do the behavioral work too. Both matter. I want to close with something I mean sincerely. Your body is not failing you. I know how it feels at 3:30 in the morning, lying there exhausted, wondering if this is just how the rest of your life will feel. Like something has quietly shifted and the best sleep is already behind you. After a while, many people stop believing anything will help. Please hear me. That is not the truth. Your body has been sending signals, specific, physiological, real signals about your nervous system, your blood chemistry, your sleep patterns. Signals it has been sending for a long time. You just weren't given the key to read them. I have patients who hadn't slept through the night in 4 or 5 years, and after understanding these patterns, making a few of the changes we talked about today, they called me to say they woke up and it was already morning. No 2 a.m., no 3 a.m., just light coming through the window. That is still possible for you. Your body still knows how to sleep. It was built for it. It hasn't forgotten. It just needs some of the interference removed. Pick one thing from today. One. The caffeine cutoff, the wind down window, the night light, the breathing. Start there. You don't have to fix everything tonight. One step, that's all. Because you deserve to sleep, to really sleep, to wake up and feel like yourself again. And that is still completely within reach. Before you go, I want to hear from you. Did something click today that never clicked before? Have you been managing your bladder for years when the real issue may have been your nervous system, or cortisol, or that glass of wine, or the news at 9 p.m.? Drop a comment. Tell me what time you usually wake up. Tell me which trigger resonates most. Your answer might be exactly what someone else needed to read. If this helped, please share it. With a spouse who's exhausted beside you, with a friend who's been told, just drink less water. They deserve this explanation too. Subscribe and hit the bell. More videos coming on sleep apnea, pelvic floor health, nighttime routines for adults over 60, and what to ask your urologist. I'm Dr. Rachel Adams. Thank you for being here. Sleep well tonight, and I'll see you in the next one.